Good evening, everyone. This is Mellissa Thomas of Florida National News coming to you with the Evening News Rundown for your Wednesday, December 23rd, 2020. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. And as usual, we like to start the Evening News Rundown with the latest COVID-19 reports globally here in the United States and in the state of Florida. So globally, we're going to start globally. The World Health Organization is reporting over 76.8 million confirmed cases and over 1.7 million confirmed deaths. Here in the United States, Johns Hopkins University is reporting over 18.2 million confirmed cases and over 323,000 confirmed deaths. Here in the state of Florida, according to the Department of Health, we're seeing over 1.2 million confirmed cases and now nearly 21,000 confirmed deaths between Florida residents and non-residents. Now, doing things a little bit differently now, we're going to go into our top stories. And of course, the biggest one that's top of mind is the omnibus bill that was passed and sent to the president's desk. And of course, we know of the president's reaction. He turned it down. He was saying that the amount for the stimulus checks is not enough for the American people, saying that $600 was, he said it was a total disgrace, and he wants the amount that goes to the American people to be $2,000 for individuals and $4,000 for couples. And he also wanted to let Congress know that he's sending it back so that Congress can get rid of what he calls, quote, wasteful items. Now, it is Wednesday, which means it's hashtag Worker Wednesday. So I did get the chance to have a discussion with our resident analyst, Angel Perry, who is the executive vice president of the Communications Workers of America Local 3108 Union. So this is her breaking down the bill initially, letting us know, basically in simpler terms, what the important parts are, given how huge this bill is. So take a look. Let's start with the necessary parts, the one that the things that people are biting their nails to know about in terms of, any money that's coming to them, money for schools, small businesses. Let's start there.
So in this bill, if 45 decides to sign it, because it's over 5,500 pages, there is direct aid, $600 to individuals, $300 weekly for unemployment benefits. So that will be established. $325 billion for small businesses, $82 billion for schools, $69 billion for public health measures, including vaccination and testing, $45 billion for transportation, $25 billion for rental assistance, because people have gone without wages for a long time, and the moratorium gives you a way to prevent evictions, but it doesn't stop you from owing. So that rental assistance will come in right on time. $13 billion for SNAP benefits. So all those families that were worried after, I think, next week of the extended benefits running out, that will be reinstated because they changed the criteria for SNAP, which is the food program, with COVID pandemic. And then a ban on most surprise medical bills. So that's important because, during all this crisis, doctors' offices and hospitals are still a business.
Right.
And if they didn't tell you up front, this would cost this would cost that, and you just get a bill in the mail, now there's provisions for a way to, hey, I don't owe that. Y'all wasn't told. Y'all just can't make up stuff. Oh, we used a styrofoam cup and it cost $2,000. Yeah, no. Bye, Felicia. No.
Can't do that.
No. There's going to be honesty in billing, for the medical industry. So that's really good. People need it. So, but yeah, that $600 could have been spent. Could have been more if it wasn't for all the other stuff that went in there.
Now, as part of that conversation, she did go ahead and break down in a little more detail some of the unnecessary parts of the bill. So take a look at this quick clip. This was a mammoth of a bill, isn't it? Like you said, nearly 5,600 pages, which is the largest legislation in history. Like the second largest was back in the 1980s, I think.
Yes.
Insane. And that was nearly 2,500 pages. So let's parse through what you feel didn't need to be in there.
So this is what my issue is with these bills. In order to get a check yes, people are having to give up or put in what somebody else doesn't want. So, for example, Pelosi has been pushing these energy bills. Instead of it being a natural debate during a natural time, she kind of held hostage the relief. Not saying both sides didn't partake in the same thing, but that's an example. What is the energy bill? $35 billion for clean energy research and development. Why didn't that go back to the people? Like, we're trying to keep the country afloat, but we got research. So scientists and people in, labs and, glasses, I mean, they got to work too, but you just going to give them our money, because the government has no money unless the taxpayers give it to them. So the taxpayers are suffering, but you want to give money to researchers for stuff we don't need exactly right now, this second. You could have put it on debate on the floor for people. You earned people's vote, but you held this whole thing hostage. The other thing on here was the museums. 2 Smithsonian museums? Why do we need museums during COVID? I'm struggling with that. I'm so on board with the conservatives being very outraged. This is all money that could have went into the pockets of taxpayers, but instead we have money for 2 new. This is not even maintaining the ones we have. 2 new Smithsonian museums.
Okay.
I don't know.
Now, could the argument be made for job creation with those between the 2 Smithsonian museums and the climate research? I'm just asking. I'm just doing the devil's advocate thing.
Okay, so then my argument with that is infrastructure. If that went, we have money for transportation, but they could have made infrastructure bigger. That does the construction. That still does jobs and money in the community that then those people will go spend to small businesses, mom and pops, and restaurants. So those 2 museums have no validity, none. You're talking about artifacts that are probably already in a storage unit somewhere. Why do we need to see them right now during COVID? Social distancing and all that. No. Infrastructure, affordable housing, all of the things that would still bring jobs to that point. The museums are unnecessary, absolutely unnecessary.
All right, that is Angel Perry's breakdown of the bill. And in continuing to talk about President Trump's response to that bill, of course, this is something that both houses of Congress are now kind of balking at. They're kind of concerned because, of course, now a temporary measure would have to be put in place to prevent another shutdown, of course. But we shall see what happens. We'll continue to keep you updated here at FloridaNationalNews.com. And please leave your comments below this video. Let us know what your thoughts are about the bill, what your thoughts are about President Trump's response to it. Do you feel that he was correct in basically refusing it? Do you feel that the bill does need some improvement? Let us know in the comments below. We love to hear from you. Now, getting into our next top story, Governor Ron DeSantis is prioritizing elderly Floridians to get the vaccine even before essential workers. And he actually cemented that decision today with the announcement of an executive order. Now, in his executive order that was released today, the priority will be long-term care facility residents and staff, persons 65 years of age and older, and healthcare personnel with direct patient contact. Of course, the COVID-19 vaccine has been distributed to hospitals across the state. Over the past 2 weeks, more than 170 hospitals across the state have received doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. As part of the allocation, hospitals have received enough doses to vaccinate their entire frontline healthcare staff and have remaining vaccines. So those will be given the hospitals to be able to vaccinate people who they deem may be extremely vulnerable to COVID-19. Wanted to give you guys an update on that. Now we're going to take a quick commercial break and we're going to come back with some more stories for you. So stay tuned. We've got a lot more to talk about.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
Welcome back to the Evening News Rundown. And of course, we ran our ads. So if you're someone who's interested in advertising with us, just shoot us an email at ads@floridaNationalNews.com. Or if you're interested in sponsoring one of our segments or sponsoring content on our website, again, just shoot us an email at ads@floridaNationalNews.com to find out more. Now, jumping into our next story, the next U.S. story, President Trump has issued several pardons and commuted 5 sentences, including GOP allies. On Tuesday, he pardoned 15 people, including a pair of congressional Republicans, or former Republicans now, congressional Republicans, who were strong early supporters, a 2016 campaign official who, of course, was involved in the Russia probe, and former government contractors that were convicted in a 2007 massacre in Baghdad. So to break things down specifically, former Republican Representatives Duncan Hunter of California and Chris Collins of New York were the two former Republican representatives there. Now, there were two of the earliest supporters of Trump back in his 2016 presidential campaign, and he commuted the sentences of 5 other people, including former Representative Steve Stockman out of Texas. Now, Representative Collins, the first member of Congress to endorse Trump to be president, had been sentenced to 2 years and 2 months in federal prison after admitting that he helped his son and others dodge an $800,000 in stock market losses when he learned that a drug trial by a small pharmaceutical company had failed. Representative Hunter was sentenced to 11 months in prison after pleading guilty to stealing campaign funds and spending the money on everything from outings with his friends to his daughter's birthday party. Now, White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany had said the pardons for Hunter and Collins were granted after, quote, the request of many members of Congress. She noted that Hunter served the nation in the U.S. Marines and saw combat in both Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, in the group announced Tuesday night were 4 former government contractors who were convicted in the 2007 massacre in Baghdad that left more than a dozen Iraqi civilians dead and caused an international uproar over the use of private security guards in a war zone. Supporters of Nicholas Slatton, Paul Slough, Evan Liberty, and Dustin Hurd, the former contractors at Blackwater Worldwide, had lobbied for these pardons, arguing that the men had been excessively punished in an investigation and prosecution they said was tainted by problems and withheld exculpatory evidence. All 4 were serving lengthy prison sentences. Now, President Trump also announced pardons for 2 people entangled in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation, including 2016 campaign advisor George Papadopoulos, who pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about a conversation in which he learned that Russia had dirt on Hillary Clinton, who was, of course, President Trump's Democratic opponent at the time. The president also pardoned Alex van der Zwaan, a Dutch lawyer who was sentenced to 30 days in prison for lying to investigators during the Mueller probe. Now, of course, the pardons drew criticism from top Democrats. Representative Adam Schiff, who is the chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, said that the president was abusing his power. Feel free to leave a comment below as to how you feel about that as well. Whether where you stand with the pardons. Do you think that was fine? Do you feel that the president is abusing his power? Let us know how you feel below. We'd love to have that conversation with you. Now, of course, last month, President Trump pardoned former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who had twice pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI. And months earlier, he had commuted the sentence of Associate Roger Stone days before he was to report to prison. President Trump, compared to his other presidents, give you guys some numbers there, has granted about 2% of the requested pardons in a single term in office, just 27 leading up to Tuesday's announcement. By comparison, former President Barack Obama during his term granted 212 or 6% of the requests he received. George W. Bush granted about 7% or 189. And George H.W. Bush, another one-term president, had granted 10% of the requests that he had received. Now, jumping into our next Florida story, there's some new housing in Osceola County. So that's great news considering that Osceola County has housing issues as well. Now, the new affordable housing communities brings 80 more homes to the Osceola County area. The property was built in partnership with Birdsong Housing Partners and Ability Housing. Now, Shannon Nasworth, who is the president and CEO of Ability Housing, noted, quote, "Unfortunately, there is not a community in our entire country that can say they have enough housing that's affordable for all of their residents. And Osceola County especially has a really dire problem." She says tourism jobs just don't pay much, and the housing costs have far exceeded wage increases over the last several decades. It's resulted in a market failure where hardworking families can't find a place where they can afford to live. So families, many of which have been living in motels along US 192, including some at the Star, started moving to that new affordable housing community on Monday. Now, rent is based on income, so tenants will be paying anywhere from $400 to about $1,000 a month for a 3-bedroom, but potential applicants should note there's already a wait list. Now, Nasworth said, quote, "For every unit, there are dozens and dozens of people in need for that apartment. So we've got to double down. We've got to find ways to do more housing. But we are thrilled at least this one did happen." Now, according to a report by the Florida Council on Homelessness, Osceola County had about 3,500 homeless youth in the 2018-2019 school year, including an estimated 870 people living in motels. Now, some of those will now have a less temporary place to call home. So that's good news coming out of Osceola County. Now, before we go to commercial break, we're jumping into our world story. You guys have likely heard about, and we reported for you last week about a new strain of the COVID-19 virus that broke out in the UK, and they were expressing concerns there. Well, now there are some consequences. The new COVID strain has spread to Italy, Denmark, and the Netherlands. Health officials in a handful of those countries have reported the new cases involving people that are infected with that mutated strain of the virus that is believed to be more infectious. Sky News reported that the new strain has now been detected in Italy, Denmark, and the Netherlands, and Gibraltar. Officials in France and South Africa also reportedly believe that they have cases of the new strain as well, but have not yet confirmed them. Now, Australia health officials said on Monday that 2 people traveling from the UK had arrived in the country with the new strain of COVID-19, but it was not believed to be spread locally. The new strain spread comes despite travel restrictions on UK flights in multiple countries. Health experts believe that the new strain of COVID-19 may be more infectious due to a higher viral load that makes transmission easier. Detection of the strain in the UK, the first country, of course, that identified the new strain, forces the country's prime minister to order a shutdown of Christmas shopping across Britain and order new restrictions on public life just days before the holiday. So as we always say, continue to stay careful. Yes, that is happening overseas, but if you are here in the United States, still continue to exercise caution wherever you are. All right, we're going to take another commercial break, and we're going to come back with your business and sports stories. So stay tuned.
I'm not picking it up. You pick it up.
I'm not picking it up.
Well, somebody's got to pick it up.
I'll pick it up. They're clean. 'Cause my hand is clean. Oh yeah, I'm Charmin Clean. That's how I know they're clean.
Charmin Ultra Strong is woven like a washcloth and just cleans better.
Yeah, I'm Charmin Clean.
The kid does have a point.
My hand is clean. Yeah.
Enjoy the go with Charmin. And for an extra clean finish, try Charmin Flushable Wipes.
Welcome back to the Evening News Rundown. In our business story, Walmart is being sued due to its involvement with the opioid epidemic. They've been sued for their involvement. The Justice Department sued them on Tuesday, accusing the corporation of fueling the nation's opioid crisis by pressuring its pharmacies to fill even potentially suspicious prescriptions for the powerful painkillers. Now, the civil complaint filed points to the role Walmart's pharmacies may have played in the crisis by filling opioid prescriptions, and Walmart's own responsibility for the allegedly illegal distribution of controlled substances to the pharmacies at the height of the opioid crisis. Walmart operates more than 5,000 pharmacies in its stores around the country. Now, the Justice Department alleges Walmart violated federal law by selling thousands of prescriptions for controlled substances that its pharmacists, quote, knew were invalid, said Jeffrey Clark, who is the acting assistant attorney general in charge of the Justice Department's civil division. Now, federal law required Walmart to spot suspicious orders for controlled substances and report those to the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, but prosecutors charged the company did not do that. Now, Jason Dunn, who's the U.S. attorney in Colorado, said, quote, Walmart knew that its distribution centers were using an inadequate system for detecting and reporting suspicious orders. For years, Walmart reported virtually no suspicious orders at all. In other words, Walmart's pharmacies ordered opioids in a way that went essentially unmonitored and unregulated, end quote. Now, the 160-page suit alleges that Walmart made it difficult for its pharmacists to follow the rules, putting, quote, enormous pressure on them to fill a high volume of prescriptions as fast as possible, while at the same time denying them the authority to categorically refuse to fill prescriptions issued by prescribers the pharmacists knew were continually issuing invalid prescriptions. The suit highlighted alleged problems in Walmart's compliance department, which oversaw the dispensing nationwide of controlled substance prescriptions. In particular, even after Walmart pharmacists informed the compliance unit about, quote, pill mill prescribers whose practices raised egregious red flags, Walmart allegedly continued to fill invalid prescriptions issued by those prescribers, according to the lawsuit. The suit said that only later did Walmart allow pharmacists to do blanket refusals for these suspect practices. Walmart filed its own preemptive suit against the Justice Department, Attorney General William Barr, and the Drug Enforcement Administration nearly 2 months ago. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that. Now, jumping into a little bit of sports for you. Now, if you are in the Tampa Bay area, or if you're a college football fan and you were looking forward to the Gasparilla Bowl taking place at Raymond James Stadium, unfortunately, that particular game has been canceled after South Carolina had to pull out due to COVID-19 positive results taking place within their program. The Gamecocks, who had finished 2-8, opted out of the Gasparilla Bowl against UAB on Tuesday due to those results. So it was originally scheduled for Saturday, but given that cancellation, that left UAB without an opponent, and it forced the organizers to cancel. Scott Glazer, who is the executive director of ESPN Events, said, quote, the current environment has presented many challenges. We looked into a number of options for UAB, but ultimately could not identify any opportunities for them to play at this time. We are appreciative of the many supporters in the community, including our new title sponsor, Union Home Mortgage, and look forward to staging the game in 2021. Now, tickets will be automatically refunded. So if you're someone who bought tickets to that game, you'll be able to get your money back. And that is according to the ESPN Events statement. Now, at least 16 bowls have been canceled this season because of pandemic-related reasons. The Liberty Bowl lost Tennessee and filled the open slot against West Virginia with the Army earlier this week. So at least that particular bowl game will continue to take place. And the good news is all is not lost for Saturday if you want to watch a college bowl game. Orlando's own FBC Mortgage Cure Bowl, with Liberty U facing off against Coastal Carolina, will kick off on Saturday at Camping World Stadium in prime time. The time was recently moved. The kickoff was originally scheduled at noon and got moved to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So you can catch the game on ESPN if you want to check it out. Now we're going to take another quick commercial break and we will wrap up with your entertainment story. So stay tuned.
At Taco John's, you can expect one thing, so good, as in quality ingredients used in tacos and burritos made just for you. Every single bite.
So good.
Expect nothing less at Taco John's.
All right, welcome back to the Evening News Rundown as we wrap up with the entertainment story. The entertainment industry was set to get some funding in the new stimulus bill. Of course, President Trump has knocked it back, so we will keep you guys updated on that. However, Congress was set to pass that bill, and included in it was $15 billion in aid for the entertainment industry. For Hollywood, one particular element of the package is called the Save Our Stages initiative. So in that footage there, you saw Broadway, of course. Now, the $15 billion aid package was shepherded through Congress by Senators Amy Klobuchar and John Cornyn and championed by Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Now, the initiative would provide grants to entertainment businesses such as live venues and small independently owned movie theaters. Now, each industry has been crippled by the COVID-19 pandemic as live shows have been canceled for nearly 9 months and dozens of major blockbusters have been pushed back to 2021 and beyond. Now, theatrical producers, live performing arts organizations, and museums can also apply. Now, to ensure that the $15 billion goes to the smallest companies that are most in need, those venues and theaters that wish to qualify must not count in more than 2 of the following groups: publicly traded companies, multinational companies, companies that operate in more than 10 US states, companies that have more than 500 full-time employees, and companies that have received at least 10% of its revenue from government sources. Now, this rule means that national theater chains like AMC, Cinemark, and Regal Cinemas, along with many regional chains, will not be able to apply for these grants. But the bill will offer relief for hundreds of independent movie theaters that the National Association of Theater Owners has warned for months will fall into bankruptcy if aid is not provided. So at least there was that particular step at the federal level to heed that call. But we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that. But that does it here for us at the Evening News Rundown. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff. You can find us at Florida National News at Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And on YouTube, be sure to also click the bell icon so you can get all the notifications for all of our shows. And as a quick reminder, if you are a company that is looking to advertise or you're looking to sponsor a segment on Florida National News or sponsor content on our website, just shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. We at Florida National News wish you a happy holidays, season's greetings, all that fun stuff. Take care and continue to stay safe.